loves, welcome back. It's me, Jenny. How is everybody doing today? Okay, my loves, we're going to talk about the last 2 weeks of my memory keeping and what I have been up to. I want to first talk about last week, and then I want to go back and talk about the prior week to that, because I kind of have an idea that I want to share with you guys that really worked for me, in case you feel like you're stuck in journaling or maybe memory keeping. Okay, so let's talk about last week first. Last week, on the July 6th, I wrote about my amazing favorite tea of all times. I love this tea. This is one of my favorite teas. And I just talked about how I enjoyed it, how much I loved it. I did a little bit of a recipe on how I like to make it for myself, and I just kind of like wrote a little bit about that. On this day, oh my god, okay, so I finished this book, and I just don't understand how a writer can write a book so disturbing and yet make it so freaking good. This book is incredible. It's really one of those like flag books. It's very unhinged and very disturbing, but I gotta tell you, I finished this book in 2 days and a half, okay? And I think with that, you should know already that I love this book, okay? I loved it. But this is not the channel for that, because this book is kind of really a little bit unhinged. So I finished this book, I loved it, and I talked about it and more about it in my book journal, and maybe I'll talk about it in my other channel. So then my hubby came home this day with a gigantic bag of M&Ms with peanuts. I like the one that has peanut butter on it. Oh, I love it. The bag was super huge. I was so excited, and I wrote about it. And I finished the bag in 2 days and a half. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Yes, I did. By myself, because nobody else loves the peanut butter, only me. So I'm super excited that I was able to finish the entire bag by myself. Okay? I'm a fatty. Just call me fatty. Okay. This day, I started to do a lot of embellishments for scrapbooking and for junk journaling. And so I did this really beautiful, lovely embellishment using vellum paper with leftover paper from other projects. And I wrote about it, and I kind of journal about that. On this day, I also did some more scrapbooking or junk journaling ideas, and I came around to do these really beautiful snippets that I just love the way it turned out, with some fabric and leftover paper. I love that. I'm gonna do a video on these two this week coming up on Wednesday and on Thursday. I'll be putting out a video. So I loved it, and I scrapbooked about it, and I also have my ciega bagel, which I absolutely love. This day, I just kind of talked about projects that I kind of have in my mind that I want to do with you guys. I also started thinking about fall and autumn and Halloween projects. I started thinking about creating a nature journal, and so I had a lot of ideas this day, and I started to just write about that. And I also put out these beautiful fabric. Well, these are actually napkins, but I just love the vintage look to it. And I started to kind of like play around with them and try to come up with ideas on like what I can do to use them. And I just love them. So I started playing around with that. And I have some really fun projects that I'm going to be working with you guys in the next few weeks. And then today I had like a little bit of an issue, because again, this video, I do these videos on Sundays, and so I have to have something for you guys on Sunday. Well, okay, so I do the video Sunday afternoon. So I try to document something on Sunday morning so I can have the whole week combined together. But this morning I talked about how I think I want to do like Sunday morning as a reflection kind of page, not just like memory keeping, just a reflection on like the whole week of what happened, what I learned, what aggravated me, what made me happy, what experience I had. So I think for Sundays, that's probably what I'm going to be doing in the morning, instead of like scrapbooking something. And that's literally what I did this week. So this week was a little bit less hectic. Like the following week, the week before was super hectic. I didn't even do a video on it because I was there was so much that we had to do. We had super busy week. We had a lot of appointments that we had to meet. We had a lot of things that we had to kind of do around the house, a lot of like warranty stuff that we needed to get ready and get settled. And so there was a lot going on. So I didn't even scrapbook. But what I did, which I wanted to show you and maybe I could give you an idea, is I tried to do something because I'm being very consistent with this challenge that I did for myself. And so I thought about how scrapbooking or memory keeping has helped me and has put me in a really good mindset. And so I started to think about what can I journal about that. And so I took a word every day. This one I took this on June 20th. I took the word healing. I covered my actual thoughts about it because it's very personal, but I did do a little bit of like what I actually journal about. And then what I did was on June 29th, I journaled about healing and how scrapbooking has helped me heal. I talked about how physical, mental, and emotional, spiritual healing is very important, and how that has really helped, how scrapbooking and memory keeping and journaling has helped me through that. I talked about that on this day. On this day, I talked about self-control and how it's so important to have self-control. I was going through a little bit of an issue this day, which I'll probably talk about in another future video. But I was just thinking to myself how important it is to have self-control and how it's painful at the same time, because there's some things that you want to say and you want to like latch out, but you know that it may not be a good thing to do. And how having self-control is much more powerful than actually not losing control. And so I talked about that a little bit here. On this day, I talked about perfectionism, which I feel like it's bullshit, and how I feel like it's an illusion, and how I feel that we have been brainwashed to believe that everything needs to be perfect when it shouldn't, and it's not, and it would never be. I talked a lot about that here, and I journal a lot about how I feel my mind really opened up when I kind of like let go of being perfect on things and just try to be myself. Journal about that a little bit in here. Okay, the next day I also journaled about slowing down and how I feel is very important. Slowing down is important for a lot of things. Just being like in a place where you just want to be, right? You just want to breathe. You just want to be calm. Very important. I also talked about the squirrel in my mind. I feel like I have a squirrel in my mind that's always going. And so slowing down can really help that and help you kind of like stay grounded, yeah? Overthinking. One of the things that I have a hard time doing, even with journaling and scrapbooking, overthinking is one of those things that I think is really hard for me to work with. In this week, I talked about healing, self-control, perfectionism, slowing down, overthinking, awareness, and reflection. And overthinking is one of the ones that is super hard for me to do, but I have been trying to work very hard on that. Okay. Awareness, I talk about that here. I kind of went into like awareness is not, it doesn't necessarily have to be spiritual, although it could be, but I talked about how awareness can be also non-spiritual. Like you can be aware of things that you may have not been aware of in the past. You may have been like thinking about a reaction or an intention or something that's pulling on your belly, that intention or that instant, and you may be aware of something. And so I talked a little bit about that and how it could also be spiritual, but it can also be related to other things as well. Yeah. And then I talked about reflection and how reflection is super important to really look into. I talked about the unseen and the seen, the experiences that I have had in the past, things that I've learned, reflecting on heartache, love, trauma, illusion, grief, perspectives that we have been brainwashed to believe. Just a lot of things that, you know, that kind of really changed me in the time frame that I have been really reflecting on things. And so an idea that you can do is maybe something like this. If you are stuck and you don't know what you want to journal about or scrapbook about, think about wording, think about how scrapbook has helped you, how journaling has helped you, and maybe come up with like a word that can resonate with you starting a story, or maybe writing a poem, or maybe writing a little idea about it. I think that can help a little if you're stuck. It really helped me. Again, I didn't have time to scrapbook or memory keep, but this kind of really gave me a lot of like things to think about, and it really helped. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Very short video, but at least I showed you guys some ideas on what you can do. I will be coming up with some really fun junk journaling ideas for you guys in the next week. Stay tuned, and please be safe, and I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye, my loves. By the way, thank you so much for subscribing, and thank you so much for returning back to my channel, my loves. I am very, very thankful, and I'm very, very just very happy to really help some people, and really just show what I really love to you guys, and I'm really happy that you guys also like seeing it as well. Okay, I love you, and I'll see you soon. Okay, my loves. Bye.